Welcome everyone to Boom Mic Banter, episode 4. I am Nick. With me is actually nobody. I'm actually running this episode solo this week. I wanted to try something new to see how it goes. I actually did a prior recording and didn't really go the way I wanted to. And I don't know if this is something I want to try to do. Anyway, this is going to be experimental, so bear with me, guys. Definitely leave in the comments if this is something that you're into or not. I'm just gonna ramble, like honestly, so I'm just gonna kind of go off on a tangent here. These episodes, just for the record, too, are not gonna be nearly as long unless I'm being fucking crazy that week and have like an hour's worth of self-ranting material. Um, it's mostly just gonna be kind of bullet points that I'm just gonna bring up and kind of talk about. Um, just stuff that's been on my mind, or more importantly, stuff that I wanted to bring up on the podcast, but like, you know, never got the chance to talk about, um, and just kind of, go in depth from there. There's a couple heavy handed things that I definitely want to bring up today, um, but I'm kind of gonna bring those up last. I was trying to bring those up first on the first recording, and it was just a fucking shit show. So I'm gonna bring up some more light-handed stuff. Um, So improvements. It was really funny. I was joking to just somebody a couple days ago because I'm 26 now. I'm turning 27 soon, which isn't that bad. But I don't know. For some reason, my brain keeps jumping to like, well, you're gonna be 27. 3 years, you're gonna be 30. 10 years, you're gonna be 40. What the fuck are you doing living your life? And it's fucking insane. Those are absolutely insane thoughts that I know um, aren't rational at all whatsoever. So I've been doing my best to try to appease those. But what I try to do all the time is, especially, I don't do the New Year's resolution bullshit. I think that that's I I just always have thought that that's fucking lame. Like, my thing is, like, if you want to improve something, do it the moment you fucking think of it. Don't fucking wait. Don't wait for the timing to be right, because the timing is right when you fucking come up with it, you know? I mean, if you have a major fucking life event going on or some obvious like big distraction, of course, take care of your shit, get your shit in fucking order. But 9 times out of 10, if you usually have the downtime to think about that type of stuff in a positive way, not the depressed way where you're like beating the shit out of yourself about it, but just ways to fucking positively benefit yourself, you should fucking do it. You should do it right fucking then and there. I wish I would have followed that advice sooner, to be honest, on a lot of things. But no, but anyway, so going back to the age thing. So yeah, there's stuff that I've been trying to improve upon, and like a minor thing is definitely just always, it hasn't gotten out of control or nothing crazy, but just trying to always mitigate my anger. It's not anger in general. It's not like I'm fucking putting holes through walls or screaming at people, but I don't know, like mostly when I'm gaming, which is a big majority of my life. I find myself like losing my shit like all the time, so I'm trying to get better at that. I just it's just something I know that I can definitely work on. And it's tough, but I'm trying to do the 10 count. I've been trying to do research on it of, why we I also think too, just the concept of, because I've never lashed out at a person or like an animal or some living thing. Like, I've never lashed out and fucking completely lost my fucking mind. You know what I mean? I mean, of course I've gotten angry at people, but no, I've never screamed half of the things I've screamed at a video game at people. And it's very funny, and I think the biggest reason for it is just because like it's an inanimate object, and it's a good way to vent. Like, the other thing I was trying to think of too was like, if I do manage my anger better at gaming, where the fuck that energy is gonna go? Because there's an awful lot of it. So I'm trying to figure out also too, like, where I could compartmentalize that, or where I could express that, where it would still be okay in some natural type setting where like nothing crazy's happening. So that's that's definitely the big thing. And then just other stuff too, like career wise is a big thing of like, where do I see my career going in the next couple of years? Like, what do I want to do? And one random piece of advice that I do have for people, if anybody is at a job that they're not into, partially including myself, I'm very mixed about the current position and where I'm at. But one thing that I've definitely done, in part with that though, is number one, make sure that you don't take the job home with you, if possible. Like, I work at a retail job, and they ask me a lot to like, hey, why don't you bring the numbers home, and like, why don't you like look over stuff and try to figure out stuff. But I don't do it. I can't do it. I can't bring work home because it would start bleeding into my home life, and that's never how the fuck it should be. You should always have your work life and your fucking personal life separate. They should always be separate. I get for people that are self-promoting or self-employed, and that gets muddied up a bit. I totally understand that, but for the most part, for anybody out there, especially working like a 9 to 5 and anything else, just don't take that shit home. That shit's only gonna fuck you up more. It's only gonna make you get more pissed off at the job, and then on top of it too, if it bleeds in more, you're just never gonna you're just never going to be able to, properly relax at home. You got to make some type of safe haven for yourself. Whether that's at home or whether that's with someone or, something else. You always got to try to figure that stuff out. And yeah, that's definitely a major part. So going in on a pretty big subject now, and everybody get ready because Jesus Christ, this podcast only gets darker from here. So there's something that I wanted to talk about for a while, and I wasn't sure how necessarily to do it. I was really going back and forth for a while on how I wanted to bring this up. So I'm just going to bring it up this way. I'm just a single standalone podcast, and, we'll see how it goes. So about a year ago, I completely imploded a portion of my life. Now you're saying, Nick, you seem like a perfectly fine, outstanding human being. What the fuck? So for anybody that doesn't know, I was in a relationship for about 9 years, about a year ago. And I broke up with that person, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up, and I want to word this carefully. I'm not bringing this up because I need to vent to the people about my experience and stuff. Because no, I took a year to myself to really figure out a lot of stuff, and really kind of soul search and really make sure that I could move forward, and most importantly, I had the right mindset moving forward. That's a huge thing for me, is making sure that I had my stuff in order when I was doing this, and it's impossible to have everything in order. Like I said, a piece of your life is gone. That's it. A piece of your life is gone when you make those type of decisions with someone that you've been committed with for that long. And for anybody that's ever questioned that type of scenario, I never recommend it. I would never advocate to people yep, that's absolutely the decision you should make. But I will say this. If you have been having doubts or thoughts or any type of thing like that, you need to talk to someone. And most importantly, it should always be your significant other. You got with them, I'm assuming, in the first place to, because you love the way that they talked, and you love, the way that they were able to word things. And you should always try to talk to that person, especially when you're having an issue. But if for some reason they're not able to reciprocate that, you can have some type of medium in the middle, a therapist, a friend, someone. The last thing you want to do is bottle that type of emotion up and then never talk to anybody about it. I'm pretty lucky in a sense. I've, before I start since I can honestly probably say about since I was 14, I've always been a talker. I chat all the fucking time. That's literally why I'm doing a podcast now. I've always rambled on about stuff. So for me, I've always been very lucky. I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot, and I try to talk about these type of things, and I try to be pretty open. But for some people, I know it's a lot more difficult, and that's something that you should always try to figure out. And like I said, that it doesn't have to be. That's another thing I hate too. When people talk about issues, about having difficulty talking or communicating or feeling, is another really big one. If you're concerned or not sure about how you're feeling about something, you should definitely, same thing. You should definitely talk to somebody. And it doesn't have to be, this complete, perfect, organized system, but just to talk to literally anybody out there, just to get it out. It always helps. Yeah, for myself, I always catch myself rambling. Right now. But I was smart this time, put a microphone in front of my mouth. But no, seriously, like a major thing that I do a lot if I am having a crisis is I'll brainstorm, and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna put myself in the worst case scenario of, am I gonna run into this person here, or am I gonna, if I'm driving to the spot, what if I get lost 15 times, or, I do that all the time. I do that on everything. Before I go out somewhere, I think, okay, I'm going to show up and they're not going to be there, and then they're going to bail, and then I'm going to have to try to figure out what to do, and I'm going to be there like by myself, and like all this stuff. I do that shit all the time. And the biggest thing I do is I'll just talk to someone literally about it, you know, and I'll automatically feel a million times better. And it's crazy because if you would have talked to the person inside my brain and like my thoughts where I was at like the worst part of it, it would have sounded like there's no cure. It's like a dude with 15 strings just going to every single place and region like it's a fucking murder mystery, just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. No, it's so odd that sometimes all you have to do is just kind of bring stuff up out in the open to someone, and even if it's someone that's not even good at like giving advice or something, and they'll just go okay, and then like you'll just say it out loud and be like, oh yeah, that was fucking dumb. I don't know why. I don't know why the fuck I just did that or said that, or I don't even know why I thought that. I don't even know why I'm mentally going down that road. I'll be fine. Sometimes you can, and I've caught myself doing this a lot. Sometimes I've talked to a lot of people that don't have like, the pitch perfect advice, but just saying it out loud has literally gotten me to be like, oh, I already know the answer I gotta do. So yeah, so moral of the story, talk to people is what that first whole subject was about, the breakup. So going back to the initial breakup. So you might be asking at this point too, like why we broke it off. I'm not going to go into too much detail about everything because I want to more talk about the idea of relationships and stuff. I don't need to have a whole personal. I don't. For me, I've been okay and I've been surviving with everything, and I know she is too. I know she's doing great. So I don't need to do a personal account for everything. The past is the past, and I've made my terms and peace with that, and I'm okay with that. But I will bring up some stuff just in context, just so you guys get some more, set up for what's going on. The biggest reason why we broke up was, especially at the time, was she fell out of love with me. And what was the most difficult part about something like that, on top of that being difficult as is, was she didn't realize it, and I was more of the one to notice it than she was. She was still clearly just, at least in her brain, just going through motions and, going through the motions and wasn't really quite sure. And for me, it was, I'm trying to respond to the other person and I can tell that they're not there. And that is absolutely the most devastating thing you can experience, which I didn't understand before, of why so many people treat encounters as casual so much. Like why so many people get into just kind of casual things and don't hook up, and like I always saw that in like movies and TV and shit. And and of course even friends. Like I know friends that just like fuck around and they don't really care. And I'm just like, "Oh, okay." And in the back of my mind I'm like, I never understood why. I just thought it was like, "Oh, I guess people are just born differently. I guess some people just do that and some people don't." But it's usually those people that avoid it. I've noticed now, you know, um really looking outside myself. That's a whole another thing that I do want to bring up, but I want to stay on topic here. So the noticing with people that usually try to shy away from relationships are typically the people that want a relationship almost more than anything. But they're so scared of either other people or themselves that they avoid it. I mean, and of course too, some people just have fun and have a good time too. I also know those type of people too. And kudos to either or. So yeah, but going outside of myself is another thing. So I'll go back to that real quick. So that's another thing I noticed too. So when I was in a relationship, I definitely was looking at people and couples and just where I was definitely just more judgmental, and that was kind of fucked up. And I'm mad at myself for that now, and I'm glad that I at least got the realization to notice that. But there was just so many times I'd just be talking to you know, my significant other at the time, and then just being like, oh, you know, um, so and so's got to really get their shit together, and I can't believe that they're doing this, and like, oh my god, and it's all that type of shit, and I really didn't, even at the time, I don't think I liked the stuff that I was saying about that type of stuff, and it wasn't super judgmental, like, it wasn't like, oh my god, well, they're a fucking asshole, but like, it was definitely enough where I was like, I'm definitely looking at this person a totally different way. And for the most part, I mean, you know, I've always been a believer of trusting your gut. So if something is weird like that, or if something does come up as, a partial red flag, it's usually there for a reason. But I don't know. I just feel like sometimes when you're really locked into a couple, you almost kind of get into a bubble of, you know, what you two think is like, what you two think ends up being law. Like at least for your own brains. Like you know the outside world and you know what you're gonna have to deal with that day. But at the same time, at least like you two are on always the same page. But I don't know. I've definitely been thinking about it now for a while, and I think even then, like that's something that's something that should be put in check more. If you're in a relationship and everything, you know what you should do? Fuck up a great relationship. That's absolutely what you should do. No, you should. I I'm probably going to word this wrong, so I apologize. But the moral of the story is what I'm getting at is just definitely make sure that you both are still able to look outside yourselves and not just be stuck in the bubble, which I know gets tough because, two people should be a team and always try to figure that stuff out. But, sometimes it just fucking helps to fucking walk outside sometimes and put yourself in somebody else's shoes, even if you don't want to or even if their shoes are gross. Sometimes you just gotta fucking do it. So, yeah, that was for that. The the whole other aspect of the relationship that I didn't realize at the time was another major big reason why we broke up. And I realized it months afterwards. Is when I broke it off, I was still 100% in love with that person, um, which was one of the toughest parts for me because I broke up a relationship with someone that I loved. And on a side note too, I don't know if I said this before, but I still absolutely care for that person. I will always care for that person, no matter what, no matter what's going on. I do feel bad. The last time we did communicate, it was not great. I pretty much told her to go fuck herself, but based on the context of what happened, I don't apologize for why I said it. I am just bummed out that it ended up being the last conversation that we had, which just sucks. I really wanted to try to stay relative friends, but with exes, Jesus fucking Christ, that's almost near impossible. And when I heard stuff like that before, yet again, I was like, oh, I'll defy the norm, and then nope, you end up falling in the same fucking pattern because you try to do it different, and it ends up being the same fucking result. But anyway, no, another thing that I didn't realize was that I wasn't happy, and I was still in love with the person, but I wasn't being fulfilled. Just even in a couple's dynamic, it didn't have to be like romantically or mentally or it just wasn't fulfilling for me. I was constantly putting the other person first. And for a while, that's my always belief on relationships has always been back when. My mindset has completely changed now, and this is a wrong mindset. Just, I want to caveat this before I say this, and then people go like, whoa, Nick's fucking wrong. Um, is no matter what, as long as you put yourself for the other person, it will work out. And it was a more complicated theory than that, but that was the one bottom line that I ended up realizing was wrong. And you know a big thing for me that I realized is you can't compromise your values and what you truly want out of another person, and you can't settle. And that's, I think, a tough part that a lot of people struggle with. I mean, like, I know a lot of fucking people that have settled. I know a lot of fucking people that just get by and oh, they're cool and like stuff's great and like that's awesome. Like I've noticed being single for the past year. I've been on a couple dates and I've talked to a lot of people, and there's a lot of instances where I'm like, "Oh, I could definitely date this person. Like we could definitely be in a relationship and that would be cool." But are they doing, or are they capable of doing something, down the road that would convene with mine? Like, will they be okay with the type of schedule that I work? Or are they, you know, actually, you know what? That's a dumb thing. Let me talk about real shit. Real shit is like, is it something that we're both going to be able to, is someone walking down the street really fucking dumb or saying something stupid, and are we going to be able to make fun of it the right way? Are they going to fucking laugh at all the jokes that I find fucking absurdly fucking funny, or the really big punchlines I throw out and really want to fucking stick a landing? Is it you know, are they gonna fucking grab me and tell me that they love me exactly the fucking times I need them to? Not necessarily without having to say it, but also not having them be a fucking mind reader either. That's a big thing for me. My past relationship was a lot of me outpouring affection and kind of back in my mind going, okay, the other person doesn't show affection as much. So that's okay. But I didn't realize that that's what I need. I am a person that needs to be validated with affection, not 24/7, but at least enough where I can be fulfilled with it. And based on how my old relationship was, it's something that I definitely know that I need, which I'm glad. That's that's the one thing too. I know some people always go like, "Oh, like fuck their ex," and I would have totally done that differently and all this stuff. But I'll be honest, I would have done the whole thing the same way. I don't regret a single moment. The only moments I feel bad about, I don't regret them, but I do feel bad about is that we had to have a bad experience and it did have to end for us to both be able to find happiness and move on. But that's just usually how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you have to find the darkest parts or sometimes the worst has to happen for you to be able to figure out where to go from there, where to be able to move on from there. And that's really important. But those are the only times that I felt bad about. And, those are times I would always be ready to apologize for. But, the times that have happened, and like I said, even the best and worst times, I wouldn't take back a single moment. They've 100% made me the human being that I am. I'm very lucky that I had that person in my life long enough for me to realize so many other differences in myself and how much I've been able to grow from that. And just even how much more confident I've been able to be. I mean, like, God, like back, I mean, if you would have talked to me even 6 years ago, which I was still even in a relationship then, but if you would have talked to me 6 years ago, I would have had a totally fucking different mindset. And, you know, it's a weird cop out too, because at the same time, I a totally different mindset, but I'm also still in my, at least now, like I'm 26, and 6 years ago I was 20. And I was a fucking idiot then, and I'm still a fucking idiot now. I don't know my fucking ass from my elbow now, but like, I don't know if those are just development years, but I will say this. I've had a millennia's lifetime of educated stuff just based on the relationship that I had. On top of being older and learning the fucking, shit that you learn when you get older just in general. Um, which is very important. So that is one thing that I definitely did want to say. Um, that yeah, I know a lot of people struggle with that. I know a lot of people, and for anybody that is in a relationship that they wish that they could have totally erased and totally never happened. I'm genuinely sorry. I'm genuinely sorry that that's happened. But yeah, I think for me now, what I've realized is, you know, I've you know what, I've had a big struggle with, go kind of going back into the dating scene. I've had a big struggle because I definitely know I definitely know what love feels like. I've definitely experienced it. I know some people never have, which my heart always goes out for. But I've definitely felt it, and I think now I'm way more critical of, oh, is this just an infatuation with this person, or am I genuinely feeling a real connection that I can go through from there? Um, because God, like I was so fucking stupid in my 20s, and even in my teenage years, there were so many people that I went after that I just was like, oh, you know, they're really nice and they're really hot and they say cool things, and that's like not what the fuck it's about. Like that's not even fucking close what it's about. And there's always the stereotype that guys are fucking pigs and fucking do all that shit, and I'm not gonna disagree with that by any stretch, because that is, I know a lot of my friends, and that's absolutely fucking true. That's absolutely true. But out of a lot of my pig friends, there's a lot of good pickings there, and fucking, like, I mean, there are definitely still some fucking good guys out there. Um, and women I'll never understand. Women I'll never know or understand, so that's fine. Uh, so I'm not gonna. No, no, I shouldn't do that. No, there's some amazing. You know what? Even too, there's some amazing women in my life out of friends and family that I will forever, forever be grateful for. And they know who they are. I talk to them on, you know, a not a daily basis, but I talk to them on a very regular basis. I always try to reach out and express my feelings for them. They're amazing human beings and people, guys and girls, also too. By the way, I shouldn't make that some type of gender neutrality thing. So yeah, I mean that's definitely like the big stuff that I want to bring up on this one. Another thing, just on a quick side note that I did want to touch on was also like titles. So when my shit did kind of blow up, people, I don't even say people looked at me different because, I mean, maybe they did. I definitely didn't really notice that. People reached out and people definitely, you know, talked to me and helped me out, which I was forever thankful for. And for some reason, if someone is listening to this that has helped me out, and for some reason, which makes absolutely no sense, that I have not thanked, thank you now. I would not be here today the way I am without, you know, each and every one of you. No, just the way titles work. Titles are very interesting to me because some people put, in my opinion, too much merit in titles. Like for some people, you know, just because they're your friend, oh, that means you have to put yourself above hell and high water and you have to do everything for that person and all this stuff. And I think that that's a fucked up mentality. And you should care about the person because it's the person. You shouldn't care about the person because it's a title. Like, oh, I gotta fucking bail my cousin out of jail because, you know, they're my cousin and it's family. And it's like, no, like that's bullshit. That's total bullshit. Like, if you want to do that and go and you want to bail that person out because you know them and they're a good fucking person, they got hit with a bad time, and you know that they're going to bounce back and you're going to help them bounce back because that's what you want to do, or what you don't want to do, but you just know that they're better than the situation that they're in, of course, fucking do that. But don't. I hate when people chalk shit up to titles. Like, you know, if I'm going through a rough patch or some shit, and I fucking almost never hit up people when I'm going through some shit, I usually try to deal with it myself and then, you know, really kind of funnel through it. And then a couple weeks after the fact, I really try to do ground control on myself. But on the occasional times I've tried to hit up people, some people will just be like, oh, well, we're friends. So, like, of course, that's why I would check in. Like, why wouldn't I check in? And that's not a bad thing. I don't want to make that sound like that's a terrible thing, but depending on the person that's saying it, and especially depending on the relationship that you actually have with that person, saying that they're a friend means different things from different people. And you got to be careful with stuff like that. You want to make sure that people are around that actually care about you and not just care about the relationship that they have with you. Going back to my previous actual relationship, that's one thing that I've thought about now. I don't know if that's like a fact or something, but at least in my opinion at the present time, because I'll always still kind of flash back to it and kind of break it down always and try to pull something new out of it. But I don't try to do that as much because I don't want my brain to whirlwind into like, oh my god, you know, cold case file. I think one major thing was for me, I was in love with the person, and I think she was just in love with the idea of a long-term relationship and what that meant. And I think that was the big difference. And I felt that especially after a while. But yeah, but on a totally different, you know, it doesn't have to be a relationship note. I'll give a great example. I don't know if I should pull out a name on this one. You know what? I'm gonna say one name, and I hope it doesn't come off across bad, and I really apologize. So my friend Sarah, who I love dearly, she's an amazing woman, fucking miles ahead of the curve of 90% of the fucking people I know. She's fucking career driven. She's fucking one of the most confident, fucking independent people that I know. And she's dating one of my best friends in the fucking world forever. One of my best friends, Tabaris, who I'm definitely having both of them on the podcast, either together or separately at some point soon. Get ready, motherfuckers. Shout out to you guys. But anyway, but I would never, like, honestly, like, if I was ever hitting up Sarah, I would never be like, oh, you know, Sarah, we have to talk. Like, you're my best friend's girlfriend. Like, I would never fucking say that. That's so fucked up. Like, I care for her because she's a friend of mine, and because, you know, and then yeah, see, and then I'm using titles, but it means different things to different people. So like for me, it's just because she's a good person, you know, and just like how like my buddy T-Bear is like, he's a great human being, and I care about him deeply, and like the things we talk about are great, and like we laugh about like a bunch of shit, and he's one of the main people that I can go into a joke for, and that joke can evolve into the craziest fucking thing. Like, he is my fucking like guy for that. But if one of them is struggling, I would never be like, oh, And same thing with him. I would never be like, oh well, you're Sarah's boyfriend. Like I gotta check in and see what's going on. No, like you're a fucking amazing, awesome person that is in my life, and I want to check in and see how the fuck you're doing. Like that's how that goes. And I get annoyed at that because like, and that's not even an age thing. I thought when I was younger, even a couple of years back, not, not when I was really young, but, I mean, I'm young now. Anyway, when I was even like 21, we'll say. And I heard people say that. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, you know what? People are young and stupid and we'll figure it out. And I'm 26. I'm not even that much older, but I still hear that. And I go, all right. But then, like, I hear fucking everybody do that. I mean, there's fucking people of all ages fuck up shit like that and mentalities like that. And that's a real damn shame because, like, I don't know. And that's not something I just took out of ending the relationship or anything, but it's just something I don't know, I put more merit into lately of just really trying to focus in on people and caring about people and not caring about the relationships I have with those people. Because as long as I care about the person, those relationships will be fine. And if anything, they could be better. They're only going to improve if you just more care about the person that you're, hanging out with rather than the relationship that means. On a totally separate note, that's I think I brought it up personally before, but that's how I've been treating dating too lately. Like I've just been like, well, I'm and I've seen so many. It's so funny because like so many girls will freak out of being like, so like, what is this, or like, what are we titling this, or like, how are we going on with this? And it's just so funny because I'm just like, just worry about like just us hanging out, and like then it will blossom and naturally progress from there. Like it shouldn't have to be a thing that you force. It should never be a thing that you have to force. And if you feel like you're forcing it, you're not doing it. Or you shouldn't do it, I should say. If you feel like you have to force it, you shouldn't do it. That's just a gut impulse that I have. And I've always believed that. I really have always believed that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much just clocking in at 30 minutes here. That's pretty much my 30-minute rant. I apologize if you don't like someone just kind of talking out loud to the ether. If you like more of a back and forth type setup, which I totally understand, which is primarily what I'll do. But yeah, but if this is something you guys respond to or just something that you still find okay to listen to, definitely let me know in the comments. I would definitely appreciate it. I don't ask for feedback a lot, but I would appreciate it on this one. And if you made it this far with me rambling, thank you. You know what? I do want to say this actually before I do wrap this up. Thank each and every one of you for listening or following or doing any type of action on this channel whatsoever. Whether it's disliking, whether it's calling me a piece of shit, thank you. Any type of criticism or any type of input is so greatly appreciated at this like baby bird not even born yet stage of what I have going on for this, whole podcast. And also to such a shout out to all of my friends and family again for supporting me on so much of this. I could not have done any of this without each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much. It really, honest to God, does mean the world to me. Okay, so on that note, guys, so we're going to change the subject here. Well, not really. I'm wrapping up the podcast. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to wrap up. This is why I need someone, because I'm just going to start talking to myself like a crazy person like this for too long. So anyway, guys, on that note, good evening, good night, and as always, good luck. See you next time, guys.